Welcome back, weary traveler, to Recorder in the Hall. We've descended from our vigil on the wall to celebrate the winter season in Great Hall, as well as all this good food and our friends. I'm
Ah, the
Matthias
kitchen's on
720.
fire!
Uh-oh.
Not again.
I'll start the bucket line.
The Dibbins are rolling the cheese! Run for your lives!
No.
Sorry, couldn't resist. You were saying?
I'm Matthias 720.
I'm Kaydee.
I'm Pete.
I'm Jeremy.
And welcome to our second annual food episode.
Hooray! We're not covering a book right now. Sort of. No. No, if you're obviously new to the franchise, other than about Game of Thrones, this is one of the other literary franchise that does the best job with food I've ever seen. And it's a kind of book you do not read hungry.
No.
Or if you do, you torture yourself, like I have done several times.
I'm kind of doing this podcast hungry, so we'll see how that goes.
Well,
Oh dear.
I didn't have lunch.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I've got actually, I'm waiting on dinner. I've got a thing of chili that is definitely not Red Wall compliant cooking in the other room.
yum.
There might be beef in it. But yes, if you've never read the franchise, yes, food is kind of a big thing, but here's the thing about Redwall, with the exception of the occasional fish, or shrimp, or other, well, seafood that they catch, pretty much this culture is kind of, I wouldn't, can we go as far as vegan, or would vegetarian be more
Vegetarian.
appropriate?
I would say
Vegetarian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Vegetarian. And, this is kind of cool to watch Brian Jakes describe all this awesome food.
Indeed.
And as our tradition last year, we decided to make some of it for ourselves. Because we're selfish and we're not sharing with any of you. Ha ha ha.
You get to hear about the awesome food we made.
Indeed.
I'm not sharing either.
I already ate what I made, so.
Mine's going into work tomorrow, so they can get rid of it
Same.
for me.
Same.
I did mine several days ago. It's been long gone.
Ah.
Yeah, I made mine on Thursday and ate it within like the hour. I was like,
made mine today because I am not at all a procrastinator.
Yeah, my place smelled amazing today. I had 3 loaves of the bread I cooked, just baking it at the same time. So.
Yeah.
But let's actually go over what we all made, and then we'll go into details about said recipes. So, yeah, I'll just start because I kind of already spoiled it. I made black bread. This comes right from the Game of Thrones cookbook. More on that when I get to my turn. So,
I made what I got. It's from the redwall.net kitchen section, like my last dish. It is Sunflash's sweet oat cakes.
ooh.
Nice.
Mm. I did the. No, go ahead.
Go ahead. oh no.
We're so polite on this podcast.
Okay. I did the raspberry jelly rock cakes, and I actually did have raspberry jelly, so it worked out very well.
And there were no rocks in there, right? To break your teeth on and summon the salamanders dentist?
I mean, there is this person at work who will eat absolutely everything. So I was like, I have this amazing dish from Nebraska that you might not have heard of called Nebraska rock cake. No, I didn't actually do that.
And then Matthias, what did you make?
I actually did a beverage, the moss flower mulled cider from the Redwall cookbook.
Oh. Yeah, I'm kind of curious on that, so. But let's go in the order of, well, I guess meal order, best way, what you can eat this for the various meals of the day. So, Jeremy, I think you've got the breakfast food here.
Yep. Even though I ate it at like 8:30 at night.
Hey, you never make eggs for dinner, like for yourself? I do.
Oh no, I've made like waffles and pancakes for dinner. I mean, I actually ate this after I had dinner though, so I kind of had it for dessert.
Ah.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm on the website right now, so I have the recipe pulled up. The 2 things above it are Otter Rock creams, and it says herb dressing, which I was interested in, but then it said it was donated by Brioni, and I was like, or Bryony, and I was like, I don't know. If her cooking compares to her parenting, I don't know.
Oh.
Well, I mean, she has to be good at something. She's not a complete waste. Just saying.
Yeah. What I made was Sunflash's sweet oat cakes, which is basically you make oatmeal, add dried fruit to it, and then once it's cooled down, you turn it into balls, and then poke like a little hole in each one, pour some honey in, and then seal it up, and then bake it.
Nice.
Wow.
Yep. And so I used a mixture of raisins and Craisins makes these blueberry infused dried cranberries. So I used those and made everything. And there's cinnamon involved also. It is delicious.
Nice.
Mm.
That does sound good.
Yeah.
So how long did they last?
About like 20 minutes after I finished making them, as I had to wait for them to cool down. There was like 4 good sized ones and 1 small one, and I ate all of those in like one sitting. I was very hungry still. They were very good. I was thinking like, oh, maybe I'll take some to work tomorrow for breakfast. Yeah, they didn't last. But yeah, it's half a cup of rolled oats, 1/3 cup of water, 3/4 cup of milk, 1/4 cup of raisins, and any dried fruit. I added a little bit extra, some cinnamon and honey, and then essentially, like I said, you just make it as if you're making oatmeal, wait for it to cool, and then mold everything into balls. Make sure it does say spray cookie sheet with cooking spray, which I don't have, so I just kind of brushed some canola oil on the tin foil. But yeah, I would recommend some cooking spray because they do stick. And in the end, it was like the outside was crispy and the inside was like creamy oatmeal.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
So, if you had to do it over again, would you make any edits to the base recipe?
I'd probably try a different type of dried fruit as well. Like I was thinking maybe like get some dried apples and like break those up and put that in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the only real change I would make.
Apple and cinnamon is a good combination.
Yes, it
is. That's many a breakfast for me, honestly. It's not. I guess this would be Redwall approved, but I like to chop up apples and put them in a skillet with butter and cinnamon. And then just, saute them for 5 to 10 minutes, and they're awesome.
Nice.
It's not even the recipe I did. So that just makes me next. Now, kind of like last year, and because I'm lazy, I still haven't bought the Redwall cookbook. I know,
For shame.
I'm terrible. But I do have something medieval inspired, just like last year. I have the Game of Thrones cookbook, which is entitled A Feast of Ice and Fire by Chelsea Monroe Castle and Sarianne Lair. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. So, one of the common recipes I noticed, and honestly, this makes a lot of sense if I was freaking Ambrose Spike, was what they call black bread. In other words, beer bread. Yeah. This is not a difficult recipe, and I tend to make this a lot, especially if I have certain spirits that go past a good, sit in my cupboard for a long time and don't get used. And any conventional recipe, you can find this online just by typing in beer bread. The particular recipe here actually calls for adding honey and an egg, but I don't because mine's simple. So what I've done in the past when it comes to beer bread, I've actually experimented with this quite a bit, where I've taken different styles of beers. I've added corresponding similar ingredients to give the bread a good flavor. My best experiment so far that wasn't for this show was a beer bread I made with the Shock Top's lemon shandy. And then I added fresh lemon zest to it, which gave this a consistent citrus flavor throughout the bread without being overpowering.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Now, for the beer bread in particular, and honestly, this is the best kind of, quote, black bread you're going to find. The best results you're ever going to get, unless you're doing something specialist like that lemon bread I did, is if you use a dark, heavy beer like Guinness or any other porter. So I did. So earlier today, I wrapped up about 3 different loaves and put this together it's literally 3 cups of flour, self-rising preferably. Otherwise, you've got to add yeast and give it time. And a quarter or half cup of butter, your choice, with just not even a quarter cup sugar, and mix it together with 12 ounces of your choice of beer, and bake around 375 for an hour. And the beer that you choose that sits with the alcohol, it sits with the dough it bakes off. The alcohol bakes off. This isn't something you can eat to get a buzz, to be fair. So maybe I'm not like Ambrose Spike after all.
No, I can see Ambrose Spike in the background be like, no!
What are you doing with my beer?
Oh, my October Ale!
What? It's gone bad. No, it hasn't. So I made 3 loaves of it today, and it's awesome. It's usually the usual taste I come to expect. So it's nice, and it's a nice dense beer that if you want to throw in a toaster oven, and then maybe just add a little butter to it, and this will go with about any kind of dish, really. Chili would be a good one, though, like the pot I've got baking right now, but anything like that would be pretty good.
Now I want chili and beer. All your fault.
Yeah, it's
now
my
I want to
fault.
make my chili.
So,
Well then.
Vice, I believe you're next.
Yes. The Mossflower Mulled Cider. So spoiler alert, I live in the northeast of the United States, so good apple country. So lots of great little local places that have all different types of apples that you could want. So this is right up my alley. So really simple, actually, too. I mean, I won't say all thumbs in the kitchen, but mostly thumbs, like 4 thumbs and a pinky. So
Narf.
if I can do it, anybody else can do it. It's pretty straightforward. This recipe serves 2, but you could easily double it or quadruple it for whatever you need. 2 cups of apple cider, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 4 whole cloves, 1 cinnamon stick, and a pinch of allspice. So you heat the cider on medium heat and mix in the spices and sugar. Stir it through until the sugar dissolves. Bring it to a boil. Once it's properly boiling, let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes. I did it around 11 and a half. You strain out the raw spices, and then you serve it with a lemon wedge.
Yum.
That does sound awesome.
Sounds really good.
That was fantastic. Because, different ciders from different apples can be like too sweet or too tart, the sugars and spices kind of smooth over that flavor profile. And then that small hint of lemon from the lemon wedge garnish actually takes a little bit of that dulled flavor from the spices and brings a little of that back. And I'm not really one for citrus at all, but I could appreciate what it was doing to the flavor. Didn't really have much of an aftertaste, which I was surprised about with all the spices and the sugar. It was very good, though. But for anyone who dislikes sweet things, you might want to use slightly less sugar or maybe dilute the resulting cider a little bit with some hot water. It's I deem it a perfect wintertime beverage. I mean, definitely something you want to do.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because in the same cookbook I've got, there's a recipe for mulled wine that I definitely want to try. So, but it's some of the same stuff where you throw in cinnamon and nutmeg into a bottle into red wine and let it simmer up in a crock pot for a couple of hours.
Yeah, so I think out of 5 stars, I'd give this easily 4 3/4 stars. I mean, it's not going to be for everybody, so I'm not going to give it the perfect 5, but this is something that I can easily imagine myself drinking while chatting with friends at a party or sipping while playing a game of chess. Just a nice, casual, flavored beverage. Very enjoyable.
Yum.
Yeah, that does sound good.
Okay, so I guess I'm going last. I made the jelly rock cakes, and it was basically like a biscuit with jelly in the middle. So I really had to wait till they cooled so I didn't burn my tongue, because that would be fun. But it was basically just butter, salt, baking powder, flour, sugar, egg, and then you make that into a dough, and then you roll it out, which I should have thought of that beforehand because I have a very small apartment right now, but I managed. I just had to clear a bunch of stuff off my little bar so I could roll it out, and then make a little thumbprint in your, well, you divide it up first, and then you make a thumbprint. You put the jam in, close it up, and then you bake it for like, what was it, 15 minutes? I can't even remember now. And I made them today. But yeah, it's just pretty much like a sweet biscuit with jam. It's sort of like a jelly donut. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Sounds tasty.
Very good. So those are the 4 recipes we chose for this season, and yeah, if you put these 4 together, yeah, I'm not sure that's a good breakfast, but definitely a good dinner, I would say. Definitely an oversweet dinner.
I'd say it's a good just to eat it whenever you feel like, because then you'll feel all nice and warm.
Yes.
Comfort food.
Yes.
Speaking of which, one of the things we don't really do enough on the show is that we do mention, oh, there's this thing that they ate that sounds awesome, but we don't actually go into like, oh wow, actually kind of detail about it. And one of the few things I'll admit I did actually make at the time kind of say, do you really want to be experimenting with your field rations? Was Grum, this is back in Martin the Wario, Grum made like sticky cakes with their field rations while they're in the middle of traveling. Yeah, he's going to experiment, and it sounds awesome.
Yes, it does.
That actually, I believe that is one of the. Well, I'm looking on the redwall.net kitchen right now. I believe they actually have that on here. Grum's dish. So give me a second while we. Well, there's a few. Actually, there's a lot of things on here that are good. Yeah, Grum's Asperiment, and it has the full thing. 1 cup honey, 1 cup plums and apples, 1.5 cups rolled oats, 2/3 cup water, honey, and honey's on here twice. I guess you should use a lot of it.
Okay.
It says cover fruit with honey, let sit in a bowl, combine oats, water, and milk. Consistency should be of oatmeal. Cook at 350 for 4 to 6 minutes. Add honey. Stir, spoon onto cookie tray, bake for 10 to 14 minutes or until golden brown like scones. That sounds awesome.
It does.
It does, yes.
Yeah.
Is there any other recipes you guys would love to try that we've got in the books we've covered?
I want to try bubbling, just like that shrimp stew with like the shrimp dumplings and it just sounds really good to me.
Yeah.
I would not mind trying to make a deeper and ever pie, and there's enough of that, like that recipe is on this site enough times to the point where one of them is actually just called yet another deeper and ever pie.
You could just get the official Red Ball cookbook finally, and it has that in there. You can use the official one. Come on.
I should do that.
Yeah, I am ashamed.
Yep.
I've put you in your place.
Yep.
I'll skip
I will admit though, all but one of the recipes I have gotten off this site turned out really well.
And we all remember the one that didn't.
Yeah.
We do. Because you talked about it, and it was hilarious to hear about.
Yep.
Sorry,
Wasn't
I'm sorry.
hilarious to eat, I can tell you that much.
Well, I
What?
think I'm going to try, I don't know, should we do this again in another 6 months instead of once a year? Or do people like it like this?
I'm fine every once in a while. Like, I mean, I like cooking. I actually hosted and cooked everything for Thanksgiving this year, so
Oh, how did that go?
went great. I had my parents over to my place, and they absolutely loved everything. And my office has regular potlucks. We have one actually this Friday that I'm trying to think of something to make for. So on the sign-up sheet, I just wrote something good.
That'll work.
Yep. Like for our Thanksgiving potluck, I have discovered the only thing I'm allowed to bring now is my maple cornbread because nobody will accept anything else. I wrote meatballs on our sign-up sheet, and people rebelled against me. They're like, "No, you need to bring your cornbread." And I was like, "But I want to try something new." They're like, "No, just make your cornbread." And I went, "Well, I could try making it different." One of my coworkers went, "No, make it exactly the same way as you did before." To the point where one of them just crossed out
delicious.
meatballs and wrote cornbread above it. So I was like, "Fine, I'll make cornbread." And then another coworker went, "Oh, so you're not going to make your meatballs?"
There's
Yep.
just no winning. No winning.
Yep. I flat out said to her, I was like, I just can't friggin' win with you people. But the cornbread went over great, so at least that much.
It's funny you mentioned that because my job does this kind of thing too. The last bit of corn, we have a chili cook-off every February, and I always throw. I made a jalapeno Asiago cornbread. Went out really well.
Cool.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's literally what it sounds like. I just shredded some Asiago cheese and put little jalapeno slices into existing cornbread mix and let it bake.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, mine's similar where I'll get like the cornbread mix and I'll just add like pure like actual like straight up maple syrup to the batter and then bake all that and it comes out super sweet and delicious.
Yum.
I even said like is to the people that were like vying for it. I'm like, I could just tell you how to make it. And they're like, no, you have to make it.
The only thing I have that way that people know I can make, everyone's tried some sort of buffalo chicken dip, I'm sure, by this point in their life, and
I actually haven't.
okay. Well, sorry. Never mind. I won't speak so generally next time. Point is, I deliberately dialed back down the spiciness of an existing buffalo dip by switching out buffalo sauce for a kind of a sweet Asian sauce.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
And instead of just chicken, I did chicken and bacon together in a slow cooker in that same sauce for 8 hours ahead of time. Because most recipes, just put in canned chicken. No. I take time, and it is amazing.
Mm.
Yeah, I've made chili a bunch of times for potluck. So actually, before we even signed up for Thanksgiving, one of my other coworkers, like, "Oh, are you going to bring your chili?" And I was like, "No, it's not really a Thanksgiving thing." And then when I was like cornbread, one person's like, "Oh, you could bring chili and cornbread."
Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm leaning towards chili for this Friday, but for Thanksgiving, I made for the first time a from scratch tomato bisque, and
Wow.
it turned out extremely well. So I'm kind of tempted to make that for Friday.
Bravo.
I would eat all of those things.
Okay, my turn. As I said, I'm mostly thumbs in the kitchen, but for the past 18 years, my mother and I have perfected the art of making fudge.
Oh,
I mean,
nice.
everybody likes a good fudge, unless you don't have a sweet tooth, in which case, I feel very, very sorry for you. I wish you all the best in life. You are missing out on amazing fudge. But I got a reputation when I was in college. I actually worked on campus and would bring in about once a semester a batch of fudge and share it with my coworkers. So much so that people started to actually request it special for events. And my supervisor at one point deemed me a sugar pusher. I mean, between that and the peanut butter bark, I mean, pretty much just sent him right over the edge. I mean, when you bring it in one day and he comes out after you put down the plate, comes out a couple minutes later, how many pieces do you think I could fit in my mouth at the same time? That's when you know you've arrived.
Is there any other recipes you guys can think of from the books that would be kind of fun just to try?
I wouldn't mind trying a couple of the drinks also.
Oh yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I would happily like apprentice myself to Ambrose Spike for like an afternoon and just try it everything. I don't care how bad the hangover would be.
Oh, see, I was thinking of like strawberry cordial and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
about
different kinds of
cordial.
tea.
Well, at least the way my uncle brews it, cordial is pretty strong stuff.
Oh,
So-
I thought it was like actual, just like a drink. I don't, for listeners, people don't get it. I don't drink alcohol, so it's like I want to try all the drink. Like one of the things I tried from this site was quote unquote true beer, but it says non-alcoholic. It's essentially a root beer float.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Yes,
The Redwall
strawberry
Cookbook
cake.
has the Redwall Cookbook has October Ale. It's literally just ginger ale and grape juice.
Huh.
I've tried that. It was too sweet for me.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying that Redwall cordials would be necessarily alcoholic, but if you have a genuine alcohol culture, it's strong stuff. It is genuinely strong stuff.
I think some of the stuff that I want to try we haven't got to yet in the reading order. But yeah, there are definitely things coming
Oh
up
my
that
God,
it's
yeah.
like, I need to have that.
Like,
Maybe we should add in a subsection to the show when we're going through each book, just a list of the things that we would be interested in trying.
That's a
why
good
not?
idea. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
usually just point them all out anyway. I'm like, this sounds good and I want it in my mouth right now.
Yeah,
Well,
I
if
mean,
you did that, that would be everything on the list, wouldn't it?
yeah, pretty much.
I want all of the page.
I mean, Bellmaker. I'm looking forward to Bellmaker. They show shrimp being cooked. I'm like, ooh, one of my favorite foods. So
Yes, I do love shrimp.
I'm almost kind of curious, like, if Redwall ever actually advanced the technology or like geography when North American citrus made its way back to their continent, what would happen? Because, again, if you've never read the series and while you're listening to us about that, well, welcome. But, yeah, this is all British
Right.
food.
Yes.
It's British
Like-
fare.
I had to look up flan, like what they meant by flan, because like when I think of flan, I think of the flan, the Mexican dish, like the custard. But
Yeah.
it's actually like some sort of pastry, like a spongy pastry in Britain, which I did not know.
Huh.
Brian Jakes teaching me things all the
Yes.
time.
Yes, he does.
And I would like to point out that Brian Jakes is not opposed to having a blind creature cook in the kitchen, because Simeon is actually cooking in the kitchen in one of the books, which makes me very happy. Because sometimes, usually people of the older generation are like, oh, a blind person in the kitchen, you're going to die. Like, well, not more likely than anyone else in the kitchen.
I mean, we did kind of light it on fire earlier, so.
Right. That was not me, though. That was not my fault.
My fault, my
I ha-
fault. I was trying cordial in a recipe. It caught
I had
fire.
nothing to do with this. I was roasting chestnuts over an open fire.
Actually, I've had that. This was years ago, and I was working for the local botanical garden. But they hired someone, a guy with a little food cart, who had raw chestnuts, and he had an open flame that he would roast them over and serve them to them, and they were kind of awesome.
Chestnuts are awesome.
Yeah, I've tried them once, and I really want to find a place that has them again, because I remember really liking them. I think I was like 7 or 8, so I can't remember if it was just like the haze of childhood nostalgia that made them so good, or if they were actually good.
Actually, I would like to have the candied chestnuts that Chib was eating in Mossflower.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially when it like describes the one that's a little small but like covered in like crystallized sugar and honey.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe put some mixed nuts, other mixed nuts in there, and
Mhm.
just like a nice honey glaze over the top.
Nice.
I need to figure out how to do that.
I made
Uh,
candied pecans one time, like with cinnamon,
oh,
sugar, butter.
Oh,
It was so good.
yeah.
My parents are addicted to those. They are so good.
well, I'm
I think
definitely
they're-
hungry now.
Yeah,
think
yeah.
the
I think
fruit
we
cakes
all
also
need a break
good.
for dinner now. So.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, folks, if you're listening, thanks for listening, of course, putting up with our first full year. We're going to be tackling Mariel and Bellmaker in the new year, and then we may or may not do something special for April Fools that Jeremy may hate. We'll find out.
Let's just say I'm not a fan of some of the fiction that we look at.
Hmm.
No more
Your suffering
concussions.
makes me happy.
What?
Your suffering makes me happy.
I believe it makes Pete happy too with some of the stuff he also suggests for our other podcast. Luckily, I made him miserable this time for our next show.
Oh, yeah, which
Oh,
we're
no.
literally recording after this. We watched Home Alone 3.
Oh, no.
And in honesty,
I-
after watching Home Alone 4 and 5, it wasn't that bad.
No, well,
I was
no.
gonna say I've only seen the first two.
You've seen the ones that really matter.
Yeah. That's what I've
And you
heard.
could make a convincing argument that the second one is kind of bad, but that's just me.
For me, the second one is like it's essentially a retread of the first one, but it's still a fun retread of the first one.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I'm not
Yes.
saying it's as good as it's kind of like for me it's like with Ghostbusters 2 where it's like yeah, they kind of reused everything but it's still fun.
you can find us on the internet. Unless anybody else anything else had to comment. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No.
I think
You
we're
want me to
good.
do my
No,
big
no.
rundown?
I'm doing it.
Oh, big man stepping up.
Taking charge.
You're
You can find us
you're the Badger Lord today.
You can find us on the internet at recorderonthewall.com. We have a Twitter that is ROTWpod, where I like to respond to people on my lunch break and search for regular terms. We have, that's also our email, rotwpod@gmail.com. I'm active with the cast on both the Redwall subreddit, r/Eulalia, as well as the Redwall forums. And we like fan interaction quite a bit. We like reviews on all the various podcasting platforms even more. Yeah, we seriously don't get enough of those.
Rate us
So.
5 stars. You know you want to. Subliminal advertising.
Yes. And for those of you out there, definitely have a good holiday season, and we'll see you in January for Mariel of Redwall.
Farewell, friends.
Bye.
To dinner! Food!
Me first.